why the heck do they want the headline to show up 3 times in the article and in 3 different sizes? The answer is nobody knows. But what they have found in their algorithm is that when it does show, when articles do have these factors, it's most likely to be content that the searcher, the person searching on Google, is looking for. So these are simply the rules we follow. So here, what I usually do is just have a variation of the main title of the article be the first thing here. And again, you can get real fancy if you want, but this is just the raw way to do this and have something that's pretty good looking in balance with, of course, following these rules. So I might change this up just a little bit. I do something like that. And what you'll see is, if this was simply raw text when you started, you're going to see here that it's going to tell you don't have an H1 tag. It's because I just took that out. And this is more like how you would start. So what you would do is this right here, this drop down gives you an option on how small or heading large your text is. So simply highlight that, go to heading 1, make sure you're all the way at the top, and now you've satisfied that particular requirement. Okay, so we have a heading in the article somewhere that includes at least what we said our keyword phrase was, and we have made this an H1 size. Okay, so I usually think it's easiest to start and kind of design these as kind of like an outline if you were going to write a paper. So I would start by putting this heading here. I would then create a secondary one that includes the phrase, which the phrase is right here. And I made this H3 size. And then I had another one here with a different variation talking about closing costs and so on. And I made this an H2 tag. So that was how I kind of wrote out an outline first and then went back and filled in, wrote this text about each of those topics. Okay, so we have the 3 headings as the first 3 items. And as long as you have the keyword phrase right here showing up enough times, this plugin will actually put a bold version in, an italicized version in, and an underlined version of your keyword phrase in automatically for you. So as you're typing in the real world, you're not going to have this showing up enough times. And once you get good at this, you can kind of just try and weave it in as often as possible as you go. But more likely than not in the beginning, these will be red X's that say your keyword phrase is not showing up enough times to automatically bold, italicize, and underline it, right? So once you have it showing up enough times, these will go green automatically. The next couple here are interesting. This is talking about an alt tag. Now, they should be more specific here and call it an image alt tag, but the plugin just doesn't. What this is referring to is a photo or image. So right now, we don't have any photo in here at all. So the key is each article needs to have at least one photo in it, and it needs to have a tag embedded in it that is the keyword phrase. And again, that's Google's way of searching all these different web pages and saying, wow, this one not only is talking about and has in the headings this particular keyword phrase that the person searching Google is looking for, but it also has an image on there that's named the same thing, right? So that's the reason why Google wants the image named the same keyword. So an easy way to do that in WordPress, that I usually just put it right here in the upper right-hand corner, is put my cursor right here at the top left, hit Upload Insert, which is right here, and now you can simply either navigate to or even just drag in your image. So I've already downloaded a mortgage-related image. I'm just going to drag it in here. It's thinking, and here we go. So you can see I already named it the keyword phrase, so I'm just going to copy it and put it right here as well, which is this alternate text, or alt tag. So that is how you properly name any image in WordPress. You can hit none here because you don't need it to link to anything. And usually you don't want it any larger than like 300 pixels wide. But one important thing first before you insert it is to make sure that you have it going on the right, just because that usually looks better. And this is the similar theme that we use on all our mortgage clients' sites. And we want to also use it as the featured image. What this will do is not only put this image on the page itself, but it will also put it on the home page in what's called the preview section. So once we have set it as the featured image, we want to keep it full size in this case because I already chose a small type image. We have it going on the right. I'm going to hit insert. Now you'll see that it has put the photo here on the right. I'm just going to check one other thing here. 0, 0, that's good. Okay, so again, now see before it said we don't have an alt tag. I'm going to hit save draft. We're not publishing yet, just save draft. It's going to recalculate. And see, now I went from 81% to 87%. You'll also see that that red X'd item is now gone. Okay, so the key here is the total word count. In regard to this, usually you want to have at least 400 words. Getting closer to 500 is optimal, but anything over 400 is pretty good. The reason why you need to have that many words, excuse me, is that this keyword density factor, this is a calculation going on behind the scenes that's comparing how many times this keyword phrase appears in the article versus the total number of words. If this is too high, Google will think that this is a phony article because you have the keyword phrase showing up too many times in relation to the total number of words, right? So Google used to look for about a 2% keyword density, and now even just over the last 3 months, their newest algorithm is trying to weed out what they are considering over-optimized articles. So before, this used to be a race to see how high you can get this, but now it's usually around 0.9 to like 1.25, right around 1% is the ideal keyword density. And you're only going to achieve that by having 400 or 500 words or more in your article. If you don't have this at least 400 or 500 words, then you're going to see a couple errors, like your keyword isn't showing up enough times, or if it is showing up enough times, this is going to be way too high. It's going to be 2 or 3 or 4%, which is not good. So just as a rule of thumb, try to have about 500 total words. And what I normally kind of look at is if you put your outline together where you have like your H1 tag, your H2, your H3, it doesn't have to be in that order. I actually change it up here just so it doesn't look like, wow, it's getting smaller. And then you start filling in the words. You should be on a pretty close target to getting to 400 or 500 words. So the next important factor to consider is what we call like the author block, or the author bio little paragraph at the bottom. Usually this is just 1 or 2 sentences, and you can reuse this exact sentence every time for the same client, obviously. But here, we had my name in there before, but this client is actually going to be Frank's. So what this does is simply close each article with telling you who the author is, what they do, where they work, why you should care about wanting to do business with them, and then finally the last sentence always has to have this keyword phrase and as a link, which is what we call anchor text. So the anchor text here is woven into this sentence so that it makes sense, and it's going to point back to this article for when it's put on other sites around the internet. So I'll give you a quick example here. We used check out the following link